Yo, it's me. How happy to see you. We're here to talk about the Shrouded Isle. You may or may not have heard about it. So, the Shrouded Isle is a game that I'm going to show footage of it throughout the video, but it's essentially a board game disguised as a video game. And not to say board games can't be video games, but the Shrouded Isle is a very, very cool looking pen and paper chart where you essentially, it's a kind of like Clue in the sense you have to find out who you have to sacrifice each time, while at the same time managing a number of charts. So it's like where you got to manage the stats: ignorance, fervor, discipline, penitence, and obedience. So what these come down to is you got to keep all of them above a specific bar, but you got to keep all the houses associated with that stat in check as well, while at the same point sacrificing a member from each of the house in order to appease the twisted god that is out there demanding sacrifice. And the game is beautiful, in my opinion. I know it's not for everybody in terms of appearance, but I think the game looks sick. I'm a huge fan of just the overall presentation. Even though I have read a few Steam reviews talking about how slow the animations are, and I guess whatever, to each their own. It is a very cool game, presentation-wise, but the game also has no evolution of gameplay whatsoever, besides dealing with the different plagues, or not plagues. Like, there's essentially diseases that your people can get to cause them to be quarantined, and the thing with that is if they're quarantined, well, you just gotta put them in there and wait. I believe you can sacrifice them as well. I can't remember. It has been a very long time since I played the game. I wanted to talk about it because I remembered seeing how cool the game looked, and I saw it was on sale, and it reminded me, yo, this game has like one of the coolest art styles I've ever seen. It's like pastel, Darkest Dungeon. I don't know if pastel is the right word there, but it's similar to Darkest Dungeon, but not nearly as vibrant in colors. It's very like green. I guess you could change it. I think the footage you'll mostly be seeing is in orange and black, but what's cool about it overall is just the overall presentation of the game. The music, the world, all of it feels very methodical and like a real place. It makes you feel like you're on the Shrouded Isle, and the Shrouded Isle is the place where you are sacrificing everybody. So it really makes you feel like the Shrouded Isle, but that's beside the point. So what makes the game not perfect? Well, there's a lot of things. For one, this is just my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt. I don't think the game is very fun, just objectively. There's a lot of replay value with all the different endings and all that, and that's cool, but at the end of the day, you are going to be doing the exact same thing over and over when you figure out how the game works, which is just, if you get the guess correct and you find out who the next guy is you need to sacrifice, you're set. It's just a game of managing information and then just going down a checklist of sacrifice that guy, sacrifice that guy, sacrifice that guy. There's no like, I don't know, there's nothing that like really pushes it above and beyond that. It just becomes very much like a checklist. And I feel like a game revolving around celestial, eldritch, eldritch. I always want to say eldritch because of Yu-Gi-Oh, but I don't even play Yu-Gi-Oh anymore. And I never know if eldritch is even the right way to say it, but you know, Lovecraftian horror. I feel like there should be more to it, like a level of unpredictability or some sort of more randomness in terms of events, and I don't even know if that's a good idea, because luck will greatly determine how easy the game is for you. I think it will be very challenging otherwise, unless you have the correct luck associated with it. But overall, what I think is very cool about the game has to be just the overall design of it. There's this crazy cutscene plays whenever you sacrifice anybody to your evil god, and that's awesome. That's really, really cool. Just seeing the animations throughout, like the little map. I don't know. It's weird because I don't even think the animations are like top of the industry or anything. Like I wouldn't say it could compete with Darkest Dungeon in terms of appearance by any means. There's just something about it that really clicks with my brain, and it kind of reminds me of that game that came out called Sundered Eldritch Edition. This game is actually one I plan to play eventually, that got a ton and a ton and a ton of praise, and the only video I've ever seen on the game is some guy saying how much he loved the art style but hated the gameplay and didn't like that whole little thought process. I couldn't tell you. I'm yet to play the game, though I will definitely, because this further advances the conversation of how much art and design can carry a game. Now, there's certain thoughts to be had with how art can elevate a game. for example. Like, I think a good example is Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight goes from like an 8 out of 10 to like a 10 out of 10 with its stylistic presentation overall. That game just has such a strong creative identity with all of the different bugs and the theming of the void and the radiance. And I haven't booted up the game in years because I got mad I couldn't beat the Pantheon of Hollow Nest. Stuff like that. I think that's really cool. I like that a lot. And it kind of sucks that there's not a ton of conversation, I feel like, about games with beautiful, amazing art styles, but the gameplay just doesn't carry them all the way. But by the same point, I think that also allows you to examine the gameplay in greater detail. Well, actually, I think I have a tweet saying, like, how do you learn how to play the Shrouded Isle? Because I couldn't figure it out, and I didn't know if there were like instructions anywhere I missed. It took me a long time to figure it out, but it brings credit to the conversation. How good is your game if you take away all of the graphical fidelity of it? And I think the Shrouded Isles does a good job at that. I think it's just a really cool experience, and it's on sale right now. It probably won't be by the time this video actually goes up, but if it is on sale, super cool. I'd highly suggest checking it out. It's I think it's like $2 right now, and it takes a long time to finish a run if you're doing well. I think the default price of 13 is a little high for what you get, but granted, I don't know. I learned the game pretty fast, and the game is short, but it really does look cool. It's very atmospheric, and I think that really just adds power to everything you experience in the game. I'm a big fan of that. I like it a lot for that reason. Overall, I think that's almost just about it for the Shrouded Isle. I mean, there's only so many different ways I can say I like this game, but I don't think the game is very good, but I think it's beautiful, because with all the thematic presentation of it that I'm a sucker for, just makes the game, you know, fantastic. Everything else, it's like I haven't booted up since I did. I believe the footage you will be seeing will be from my initial session, actually, because I think that's the only recording I have. I played it like a couple more times after, but all in all, I don't have a ton of like time in the game, and I wanted to talk about it still because based off of the endings I got and everything I experienced, I wanted to talk about it because I thought it was cool. But by the same point, I don't know. It's difficult to phrase exactly what makes something worth it. But to me, at the very least, I think it's worth your time to check it out, at least after this video. There's a few videos about the Shrouded Isle on YouTube, and I haven't watched any of them, but I am sure they would help you get a better understanding of what's going on to see if it's worth your money. I think it is if you like, I'm trying to think of a game that's similar. It's more like Clue. Well, I haven't played Clue, but I'd imagine Clue is very similar to the Shrouded Isle. So if you like Clue, or at least like the basic idea of Clue or the foundation of Clue, you may find something to enjoy with the Shrouded Isle, and I hope you do. It's a cool game, but it is solely carried by its presentation. If you took everything away and just made it change to names, faces, and kept all the mechanics exactly the same, there is nothing to keep you. In my opinion, there is nothing to keep you just enveloped in the game. But solely because of the presentation of the Shrouded Isle, it elevates it to be so much more, and that is so much more interesting to me, is how this game that has nothing that I would like traditionally enjoy out of my video game experience, just by making it gothic or Lovecraftian or adding monsters. Well, one monster. There is one monster in the game. And adding all these flavor tests of things that happen to change the RNG. That's cool. And that makes the Shrouded Isle worth playing. I think the overall presentation of the game carries it to be good. And I'd love to hear what you guys think in terms of presentation moving something forward, because to me, I think that's cool. I think it's really cool, and I need to quit saying cool. That's all I really have for you. I'd recommend checking out the Shrouded Isle. It might be published or created by the same people who made Dwarf Fortress. I think it's just published by the same people. Yeah, Kitbot's Games. Yeah, okay, yeah. It's made by the same people who published Dwarf Fortress. So it has that going for it, because people say Dwarf Fortress is the best game ever made. I have it on my wish list. I couldn't tell you whether that's true, but maybe we'll be talking about that one day. But that's it. I just wanted to touch on something. I thought the art style was awesome, but the gameplay wasn't, and how even with that, the game is still worth playing to me. Well, not really now that I've experienced the art style and seen what the game has to offer, but it's a nice thought that I can like the presentation so much, I give it a try. And even though the game isn't my cup of tea, the presentation kept me hooked for like 3 gaming sessions. So yeah, that's all I got for you. It is very late. I still need to get to bed, so that's it. Catch you later.